Just trying to get stuff set up. Namely audio. And this is Rick the OOJ. I want to explain to y'all what the OOJ is. Now, if you own a business and you're a single person, maybe you have your spouse helping you out, well, guess what? You're in the OOJ. You are the owner, the operator, the janitor. You're all that in a box of chocolates. And we're going to go through that a little bit. I'll answer as many questions as possible. I have about 5 years of business ownership and started out as a hobbyist. And a lot of it transfers over whether you believe it or not. So if you want to, add in the comments and I will try to answer them as best as possible. Now I'm going to see if I can pull this up on my computer so I can see what all is going on and go from there. Let's see, lives. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure stuff out, make sure everything is good. I honestly don't know if it is, but we're going to find out. And it is not live. Let's see. All right. All right, there we goes. I think I've got it somewhat fixed. It didn't have the actual thumbnail that I was going to be doing, so I apologize for that. This is my first live, so I'm trying to learn everything as much as possible. Wanted to have a monitor up so I could see what questions or what have you that you may have during this live, and basically just go from there. Again, I'm Rick the OOJ. The purpose of this channel is simple. Yeah, my garage is a mess. I get it. I'll work it out in therapy. The purpose of this channel is this. Whether you're starting out as a hobbyist or as a business owner, or even doing it as an additional, an additional service, as far as laser engraving is concerned, this is what's going to help y'all. Again, I have 5 years of experience. I do a lot of this stuff. I've kind of scaled back since my surgery, but again, it's all fun and games until the laser hits the metal or the wood or the glass or the acrylic or anything like that. But I wanted to kind of get you all used to my channel and be able to see what all goes on. It's been a long journey for me. I say it's a long journey. 5 years is not that long. I started engraving with a Glowforge back in 2018-19 time frame, and then got this beast right here in 2020. Now this beast, the AP laser, it does quite a bit, and you can go through and look at all the videos that I have and just basically look around, check things out, shop it around. Not all lasers are created equally. They all basically follow the same general principles, especially with CO2s. Fibers are a completely different beast altogether. And we try to keep everything done up as best as possible. Now, can you start off, there's a lot of hobby style lasers out there. And the problem is, and it's not the lasers themselves, it is generally the aspect of who does them and what their actual capabilities are. And I think a lot of people oversell some, and lasers are starting to become more and more. Since I have a laser engraving channel, it's like, I'll get X Tool, I'll get a bunch of other different hobbyist style lasers. And it's not one of those things of they're bad. They work. I'm not going to knock them. But when you are wanting to do something quick, easy, I'll go back to my experience with Glowforge. Glowforge was one kind of kicked me off on this laser engraving kick. And it was one of those things of, what do you do? And you don't generally look at things and say, oh, I want to do that. That's easy. You could look through all my videos. There's been mistakes made. And it's one of those things of, what can you do? So that's what this channel's about. I just dropped a video about blue tape and how it helps me. And that's a beautiful thing. Because I learned it after I basically burned through about 10 to 20 tumblers, because this round shape, what was supposed to be round, kind of flattened and went into all that different thing. And it was just one of those things of why I did it. I reached out to the AP Laser group, and one of my buddies on there, he basically said, have you tried blue tip painter's tape? No. What are we talking about here? And that's what basically the main premise of the video that I dropped yesterday was about, is why blue painter's tape can save you thousands of dollars. Now, that thousands of dollars, some people may say, well, that's kind of misdirected. And it's like, well, no, not really. Because you can look at it as potential, cost or spending, because if you know, a lot of people love the Stanleys, the Yetis, they want them all engraved and looking pretty, have their logos on them and everything, and it's like, okay, yeah, not a problem, we can do this. But when it boils down to it, whose fault is it whenever you mess up an engraving? It's not the customer's fault, it's your fault. And that's one of the things that that blue painter's tape helps out on. Now, I also use it for whenever I did my barrel head and I was going to paint what I had engraved, and that worked out pretty well as well. Wasn't perfect, but it worked out. When you look at things in the grand scheme of life, that $4 or whatever it is for the blue painter's tape will ultimately save you a boatload of money. And that was the premise of that video. Finding that lowest power setting that I did on there, that was to show why I did that. You don't generally look at things and go, hey, this works, and expect it to work, or this should work. Now, whether it's in the software or what have you, the test that I did, it was 2.5-inch circle, came out perfect. I was happy. It may have been, you know, like a smidge off, like fractions of an inch off, or millimeters off, depending on what your scale is for measurement. But it was one of those things of, hey, it worked, I'm happy, let's go ahead and do it. So when we look at, you know, as a laser engraver, yes, we have certain parameters, certain different sizes of things that we do. And that's just one of the examples. You know, blue painter's tape is an absolute must. I highly encourage any new laser engravers to, or even current laser engravers, get the blue painter's tape if you hadn't done so already. When you look at everything as a whole, you generally don't, when you buy that brand new laser, I don't care if it's a hobbyist laser, if it's a laser like this, or even a fiber, you've got to practice. Now, one of the videos that I'm getting ready to do is about why I chose the two lasers that I did. And I would argue both of them, in the grand scheme of life, were very expensive. They were way more than what should have been, you know, what you could buy nowadays. And there was a reason behind it. And I'll go into that in that video. But yeah, there's a lot of things as far as laser, you know, with what I've done over the years, multiple tumblers, multiple plaques, multiple cutting boards. There's just a wide range of things that you can do as a laser engraver. There are things that will shock you. Matter of fact, I did a video about the top 3 weirdest things. that I've engraved or was asked to engrave. But going forward on this channel, and I did do a rebrand on this channel, and it was mostly because of I want to be able to show y'all what is going on, why things are done. If you are a customer of a laser engraver, these are things that they have to consider. It's not like, you order, say, 500 tumblers and you expect it, the next day. These laser engravers out there, myself included, we've got other customers. We have other projects. That's why whenever as a customer, when you go to a laser engraver, you need to say, have some thought processes. And this goes for laser engravers as a whole. You need to also consider your customer. You need to consider your equipment, because malfunctions do happen. I've had this laser go down on me mid-job, destroyed a Yeti tumbler. And when I say tumbler, it was one of those 1 gallon jugs. And I don't remember the name of it, but that one was like $110. Laser engraving, the ugly side of laser engraving, and this may be a topic that I discuss, what is your worst mistakes? Pardon me. It's one of those things of how do you protect yourself? Now, with that Yeti jug, that was a fluke, and it dealt with a mechanical failure on my laser. It happens. With my fiber, I haven't had any failures on that as of yet, but it's one of those things you have to take in consideration. There's a lot of liabilities as a laser engraver owner. There's whether you're a hobbyist or business, there are risks that you will have to take. There will be jobs that you refuse to take. Have I fired customers? You bet. You need to know when to say when. And that's something that I will discuss as well. This channel and the direction that I'm going with on it is going to be more geared towards the aspect of what business owners or hobbyists or what even as a customer you'll want. Now, will I do some of the cutesy stuff that I can do with my fiber or my CO2? Yeah, you bet. I have no heartburn in doing that. I like showing off. In one of my groups, we were kind of brainstorming, and one of the guys in the group who's not a laser engraver owner, he's like, well, why don't you do this, this, and this? And I'm like, well, I kind of already did it with one material, basically doing a challenge between the two lasers. And it is something that I plan on doing. I have other things that I need to do, but it is a challenge that I actually have on my docket. And it's one of those things of, hey, it's time to rise and shine. So we're going to do that. I am going to do the, like, I want to find out about wood on my fiber. I'm very, very curious. I have buddies that do wood, but I don't ask for settings, and that's not my fault. It's just that, one person's settings, you're looking at with a fiber. That's the one that organics, I don't know if it does well with. We're going to find out real quick. But we are going to find out, what it can do and what it can't do. Am I going to break these things? No, they're industrial style. I do have a couple of collabs, at least one collab that I know of for sure that's going to be coming up. And it is one of those things of, reaching out to partners and making sure that y'all have the most information possible. Now, will it affect what I'm doing here? Will it affect my company? No, not really. It's just something that I want to do. And it's something that I definitively think that needs to happen. There needs to be an honest conversation, because, yeah, you could say, you could be a laser engraving company and, or a manufacturer and say, hey, yeah, blah, 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 this is going to do this, 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 and it doesn't. Or you think it's going to be, whether it's a small piece about 4x4 or smaller, and it's going to be like that, done. No, it is not. There are processes, there are speeds that, and I don't know all the speeds. Now, I could tell you the speeds, how fast I can do this. I could tell you how fast I can do that. But, depending, that would be on one object. When you bring in like 100, 200, 400, 1,000 pieces that need to be done, well, guess what? I've got to stop. I've got to do maintenance on my machines. I've got to do this. There's a lot of considerations whenever you're looking at your time frames. And that's something else as a business owner you need to know. One of my favorite things to get asked is, what can you put like Texas A&M logo or a UT logo on my tumbler? That's a very good question, because now you're getting into copyright laws. And that's a different type of thing. That's like throwing music on a YouTube video. You got this banging song that you want to play in the background. Well, if you're not expecting to get monetized, guess what? You're not going to get monetized, and you may get this little letter that says cease and desist. You'll get a notification by YouTube that says, hey, this is copyrighted. You got 2 more strikes. I had one piece that I did, and I did a BTO on it, song on it, and that wasn't really a strike on me, and I think because of as small of channel as I am, and it was one of those things of, all right, bet I'm not going to worry about it too much. And then I finally said, all right, I'm wanting to get monetized. Let's go ahead, and as much as I hate to, because I love the song. I mean, You Got Another Thing Coming is it's a great song. And that's what I was, or excuse me, Not Another Thing Coming. You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. My bad, BTO. But it's one of those things of, you've got to do what you got to do in order to get money on YouTube. So I took it down. It wasn't a big deal. It was just one of those things of doing it. But again, the main reason for this event, my channel, is to let you all know that things that I'm doing here, they may seem out of order because I'm out of order most of the time. It's to help you all understand my mistakes. I do have a list of things that I'm going to be doing here pretty soon. And it's one of those things of why I do it, how I do it, and basically just go from there. There's a lot of things that need to be done. There's a lot of things that can be done, but there's certain things, I'll go over how to set, I'm not going to go over in detail the process, doing an EIN, doing your state tax deal. It's not a big issue. The aspect of being able to do this and to have a platform to do it, because I wish I would have seen something like this back whenever I first started. Would I have started out with a Glowforge? Probably not. I don't know. It's hard to say. There's actually a lot of good lasers that I would like to test out. I've got friends that have diode lasers. There's some that I want to test out. I've got a couple of galvos that I definitely want to get. I want to get a CO2, a UV, and do live testing on it. Show y'all what its capabilities are, what their capabilities are, to kind of give you an idea. As far as galvo style lasers, they have there's 3 types. There's your fiber, and they range in power from 20, 10 on up to 100, 200, and going completely north. A lot of these machines are all 110s. That means here in the US, we could just plug them into a regular outlet. And that's just with galvo style lasers. This beast right here, and this was a deal that it kind of upset me because they never mentioned it in their sales pitch to me about it. I mean, they're like, yeah, it works on 110, don't worry about it. Works on 110, don't worry about it. Well, what they didn't tell me, and what I had to basically force them to tell me, hey, what size of fuse am I going to need in my box so that I can do this? So prior to getting this laser, I spent $400 getting a box, an outlet put in, and just make sure, this is 15 amps, needed a 15 or 20 amp fuse, but I couldn't plug in the air assist nor the exhaust fan into that same outlet. So let's say I put in a power strip, plugged all 3 devices in, boom, fuse is gone. Or it's tripped, rather, one of the 3. Or it causes a fire hazard. So I have a J box right over here. Each individual outlet is 20 amps. And I could plug 3 devices in there, plus my little studio. And it's one of those things of, what do you do? And these are questions for new laser engravers, whether you're a hobbyist or whether you're starting a business, or even you're adding to your existing business, is what do I need to do to prep for a beast like this, or fiber, or a UV, or a galvo CO2, or a diode, or, you got to think about these things that, you have to, regardless of the manufacturer that you go through, you have to ask. And asking is one of those things of, whenever you go to do it, as I put in one video, this laser right here, this whole thing, it was supposed to be turnkey. Now, to me, turnkey means everything is there. I don't have to worry about anything. I got a free laptop. What I got was a free brick, because they don't tell you that you can't design on the computer that you're going to be running this with. Yeah, I was not happy. But it turned out that I was not the only one. And it's one of the things that those are the 2 things that I really beat them up on, was, you're not telling people what kind of outlets, that each individual system on there, and you've got 3, because you've got the laser, you have the exhaust, and you have the air assist. And they don't tell you that. They tell you that you got to, once a week, you need to adjust your mirrors, make sure everything's aligned. You need to oil your rails. You got to do this, you got to do that. But they don't tell you about that. And that's, those are questions that you need to have with those manufacturers. Same way with diode. Now, your X tools and what have you, I don't know. I hope that they tell you this stuff. Until I get one in the house, I won't know. But these are some of the things that you, as a laser engraver, or as a future laser engraver, need to understand. It's not just plug and play. Now, I mentioned on one of my other videos, and again, you can just go to my page, RIC the OOJ, and look up RIC the OOJ, and you'll find it. And it will tell you, hey, these are some of the things that you need to consider. I've talked about open source soft lasers and closed sourced lasers. Now, closed source for us is a laser that you have to have their proprietary software to run it. Now, I run Lightburn on this thing, and it works great. I think it's the best thing since sliced bread, or even Betty White, whichever came first. But it's one of those things of, what can you do? Now, there's a lot of lasers out there, and Lightburn runs the vast majority of them. From a galvo CO2 like AP Laser, they'll run Thunder, they'll run Boss lasers, they'll run San Antonio CO2 lasers. That's what I call open source. They started in on galvo lasers. With galvo lasers, that was a new trick. I was on the beta program for that, and The guys over at Lightburn, as far as I'm concerned, knocked it out of the park. Plain and simple, they knocked it out of the park. And I use it completely. I run it from here to there. Now, granted, with these two lasers that I have, they're all wired. So I've got USB cables going all over the place. Matter of fact, well, you don't see the one, you just see the outlet cord, power cord right there. And I'm fixing to move this setup over against this wall and get it plumbed up for exhaust. So I can get a, if I accidentally get a new laser, I could put it over here and have exhaust over here instead of running it over there. Exhaust, same thing. The exhaust fan, and I still have the one I got. It was a squirrel box, and it was loud. Let's see. No, this fan's not on. But it's one of those. It was one of those things of I couldn't do this if that was running. I would not be able to do this with the inline fans. Like, you know, I've got AC Infinity fans. They work great. They're pricey, do not get me wrong, but they work absolutely great. And that was, there's several others that you can get on Amazon, and they too work great. There's nothing wrong with them. They function. I would recommend getting a 6-inch or larger, depending on how many lasers you have, depending on how much, you know, if you're running both of them at the same time, yeah, you're going to be needing a 6 to an 8-inch inline fan to move all that air. But again, with something that big and having everything go out, I mean, let me look it up real quick because I got to see. And I'm looking up AC Infinity because I want to know what the actual volume it moves. So grow. And this is they primarily work with hydroponics. Let's see. Nope, that's not what I want. All right. You know, they got everything. They got 4-inch. They've got 6. They have 8s. I even saw a 10-inch. They got a 12-inch. Let's see. I've got 6-inch. And let's see. What's the volume on here? It's able to move out about 352 cubic feet per minute. Now, that's quite a bit of volume to move out. Now, my garage is 400 square feet-ish, and, you know, whatever the height is. So it could basically pull out anything with that one fan. So, you know, if you're in an enclosed space where you're climate controlled and what have you, and I talk about that in the video, you know, you need to make adjustments. You know, I could leave this fan on all day long. It's not going to hurt my feelings. It'll either pull out hot air during the summer or it'll pull out cold air in the winter because I don't have climate control in here. But I'm going to end this right here, but I want y'all to go ahead, check out the channel, go through all the videos. I've discussed several of them, and I look forward to actually seeing y'all. If you like what you're seeing, please like and subscribe. It helps me out. It doesn't cost you a thing, but it helps me out with like, shares, and subscribes. But this is Rick the OOJ, and I will see you on the next one. And I'm hoping I hit the right button. Boop.